component of the empowerment program, with the disbursement of agricultural materials to beneficiaries under the Result Area 2 Fadama Food Security Project, empowering about 6,000 farmers.
Agriculture remains a key pillar of our development strategy, and through this disbursement, we aim to enhance food production, increase household incomes, and ultimately improve the livelihood of thousands of Deltans.
Delta State Commissioner for Economic Planning, Sonny Ekedayan, who is also chairman Delta Cares Steering Committee, while explaining the components of the program, says that the diligent implementation of the initiative in the state is a clear testament of the governor's commitment to creating opportunities for all to thrive.
Some of the enterprises covered under this phase of disbursement include 1. Poultry, 2. Fish farming, 3. Cassava cultivation, 4. Maize crop, 5. Pepper production, and 6. Vegetable farming.
For their part, beneficiaries pledged to effectively utilize the agricultural inputs they received to meaningfully contribute to the overall development of their communities and the state in general.
I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very grateful because this is a great support and we pledge that we will not fail him.
I'm grateful. I want to really appreciate our governor for doing this and for them for the opportunity to be a poultry farmer that started little, and from there I believe that I'm going to keep, multiplying.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Prominent sons and daughters of Isoko Nation in Delta State, united under a socio-political pressure group known as Grace Mission, have frowned at what they described as poor leadership and neglect of the Isoko people by political leaders in the state. They insist that both current and aspiring political leaders must demonstrate their commitment to the people by prioritizing the collective interests of the grassroots population, as it will not be business as usual in the coming 2027 general elections.
Isoko land, like many communities in Nigeria, experiences a familiar pattern every election season where politicians make grand promises of progress, development and prosperity. Yet, once elections are over, these leaders often disappear, leaving behind a wake of unfulfilled promises. Despite its rich oil reserves and fertile agricultural land, Isoko communities remain trapped in endemic poverty. The potential wealth offered by these resources has not translated into tangible benefits for the local population, primarily due to lack of effective governance. Frustrated by years of inaction, the people of Isoko have resolved to make politics different. Through Grace Mission, a socio-political pressure group established in Ole at the wake of the 2023 general elections, they are now rallying around a shared vision of electing leaders who will truly represent the best interest of Isoko land and the masses at all levels of government.
It is my dream, it is the dream of Damutek, to develop Isoko. It's not a personal or a private agenda. It's the agenda of an ethnic nationality. And Isoko is prioritized in our dealings.
We are the people that are ready for the betterment of Isoko. Life must be in Isoko. Is that not so?
Look at the situation of the country as we speak now. If you go to market, the market price does not know any political party. We are thinking of how people can, the welfare of the people is the focus of Grace Mission.
Chief Daniel Omoibo, a respected philanthropist and successful businessman who doubles as the founder of Grace Mission, believes in liberating his people from poor leadership and underdevelopment. Along with his other investment in the growth and development of Isoko Nation, he has promised to continue to galvanize the people towards making informed political decisions and choices that will bring about all-round gains to his people and the nation at large.
Our people have not learned. They have not known what to do. That's why we must keep educating them, talking to them, our aim and objective is to make sure that the politicians that will occupy any seat, maybe House of Assembly, Rep, Senate, Governor, as far to President, that such politicians or office holder will now remember Isoko for good.
It will be recalled that in the lead up to the 2023 general elections, Grace Mission actively mobilized its members across Delta State, encouraging them to support candidates who they believed had the best interest of the people at heart, regardless of political affiliation. While the group achieved moderate success, they are now gathering up to make an even bigger impact ahead of the 2027 general elections. Their mission is to ensure that credible and trustworthy candidates with clear people-centered intentions are elected. Leaders who will bring progress and development to the people of Isoko and beyond. The group remains committed to holding political leaders accountable and ensuring that those elected in 2027 will prioritize the upliftment of Isoko people and work towards addressing the underdevelopment and challenges that have long plagued the region.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And finally, it's Nigeria's Week of Independence, and it's actually its 64th independence anniversary celebrations. We'd like to commemorate this milestone and honor the struggles and sacrifices of our heroes past. It is, however, crucial that as a nation we must continue to promote the values of nationhood that transcend creed, ethnicity, and sentiments. And here in the Niger Delta, let's all continue to work together to ensure that the legacy of our forebears for a prosperous and environmentally safe region remains a guiding light for future generations as we strive towards a truly united and cohesive nation, and indeed Niger Delta that will be a safe haven for all to flourish. Again, happy 64th independence anniversary to Nigerians and indeed all Niger Deltans. Well, this is where we'd like to draw the curtain on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles shown right now on your screens. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. Until next week, I am Mahmoud Yakuga, thanking you for staying tuned. And bye for now.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Plus TV News Now tonight. Federal government begins evacuation exercise of Nigerians in Lebanon. Senior advocates of Nigeria, Femi Falana, right police over Rivers election, sues for peace. United Nations condemns Israel's unlawful strike on West Bank camp, which killed 18 people. And a warm good evening and welcome. I'm Emmanuel Ulubu. This is News Now. The federal government has begun planning for the evacuation of Nigerians living in Lebanon who are willing to return home following the crisis in the country. The government convened a multi-stakeholder meeting to gather information on the situation of Nigerians in Lebanon and prepare for the evacuation exercise. The crisis began in September 2024 with large-scale cross-border attacks causing over 1,000 deaths and 6,352 injuries. As of September 30th, 2024, the International Organization of Migration identified 346,209 internally displaced persons, including over 31,000 families living in 820 collective shelters. The Nigerian mission in Lebanon has now been praised for the support in ensuring safe movement out of high-risk areas. And also, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, and the National Emergency Management Agency in Lagos have repatriated 180 Nigerians stranded in Libya. According to a NEMA statement, the group arrived at Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos around 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday aboard a charter flight operated by Al Barak Airlines. Returnees included 67 adult females, 55 adult males, 24 female children, 18 male children, and 16 infants. Upon arrival, the Nigerian Immigration Service conducted biometric profiling to ensure proper documentation and support. Various government agencies also provided humanitarian assistance to aid the returnees' reintegration into society. Moving on now, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has warned that it will not be held responsible for any strike action after a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government expires. Now, the union claims it has made efforts to foster harmonious industrial relations in public universities, but the government has refused to take advantage of these attempts. ASU's National Executive Council met at the University of Ibadan on August 17th through to 18th, 2024, and issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government. The union demanded that the government resolve all lingering issues between the two parties or risk the shutdown of the university system. Security operatives in Rivers State have forward an attempt by men dressed in police uniform to take over the office of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. It is gathered that the miscreants attempted to scale through the gate and a stronger room of the commission to cart away sensitive electoral materials meant for the conduct of Saturday's local government election in the state. Witnesses say the move was botched when vigilant security officials alerted principal officers of the commission and relevant government authorities, who immediately informed the governor Siminalayi Fubara of the development. The source said the governor led a team of government officials, lawmakers from the National Assembly and State House of Assembly, top political stakeholders, and other leaders to the scene. Officials speaking to newsmen in front of their ALSEC office on Abba Road in Port Harcourt, Fubara condemned the incident and commended the security men for their alertness. Now, the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State has called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara to suspend the local government areas election scheduled for October the 5th. PDP chairman Aaron Chukwuemeka urged the governor to obey court rulings and urged citizens and party members to defend the rule of law. Chukwuemeka commended the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Nigerian Police Force for adhering to the rule of law.
People's Democratic Party PDP Rivers State, having reviewed all the cases relating to the local government elections in Rivers State, concludes as follows. 1. We cannot support or promote lawlessness or impunity in any form whatsoever, even though we are the ruling party in Rivers State. 2. The proper court judgments must be obeyed, as we cannot choose or pick which order of court to obey or not to obey. We therefore call on the Rivers State Governor, who incidentally a member of our great party PDP, to obey, comply wholly and strictly with the final judgment of the Federal High Court in line with
character and ethics of our party.
Now, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Femi Falana has reasoned police authorities regarding the local government election in Rivers State on October 5, 2024. The Rivers State government and the State Police Command have now been arguing that police will not provide security for the exercise. The police have claimed that the Federal High Court will bar the force from participating in the election. Falana has filed an appeal against the Federal High Court's judgment, arguing that the Rivers State Police Command will not maintain law and order during the election. He has also filed a motion for stay of execution pending the appeal. Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has confirmed that the impeached Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu remains impeached. Obaseki cites Shaibu's warning to permanent secretaries and heads of ministries, departments and agencies to protect government properties. He urged Edo workers to disregard Shaibu's infantile ramblings and also asserted that Shaibu is impeached until the court's determination. The NIA aimed upon to issue directives or warnings to government staff. In July, the Federal High Court in Abuja ruled that Shaibu should be reinstated due to the failure of the State House of Assembly to comply with due process. Still in Edo State, the state government and reinstated Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu are in disagreement over a circular issued by Shaibu to permanent secretaries, departments and agencies warning them against looting government properties by political appointees. Shaibu emphasized the responsibility of these officials to protect the properties, but Special Advisor Chriso Osage ordered them to disregard the circular stating that Shaibu has impeached as the Deputy Governor of Edo State until a court determination. Osage urged Edo workers to continue their lawful duties without fear of intimidation and harassment while ensuring quality service to the people. Also, the supporters of the All Progressives Congress in Edo State have called on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to intervene and rein in an official of the commission. The APC supporters allege that this official is attempting to undermine the outcome of the September 24th governorship election, in which INEC announced APC candidate Senator Monday Kwebelo as the winner. The APC supporters made the discovery during a large protest held at INEC office in Benin City, the other state capital, expressing their concerns about the alleged activities of a certain INEC official in Bayelsa State. The protesters advised that anyone with grievances should seek redress to the courts rather than resort into self-help measures.
Don't vote, and this is the most peaceful election in history. Obaseki rings Oredo local government and House of Assembly election. He wrote it. He drove everybody away. This is the most peaceful election we have had in Edo State. So he was surprised. The plan that he has in his mind was digested by the security agents because they didn't allow anybody to do anything stupid. Come across problem in Edo. We tell him we will resist them.
Edo is not Bayelsa. That they are trying to use Mrs. Isaac Bemi to perpetrate evil in our land, which is Edo State, after the peaceful election. You people are aware the local government election were rigged by Godwin. But anybody try to penetrate evil, you will resist them.
We are here for one reason. The reason is for us to let the INEC know that election has been conducted and a winner has already emerged. If you are not okay, go to court. You can go to court. We have rules that is guiding everybody in this country. For the one the PDP are doing, they are trying to cause crisis in Edo, and Edo has been peaceful. Since I was born and brought up in Benin, in Edo State, this is the most fearless election they have ever conducted. There was no gunshot, there was no killing, there was no any embarrassment from any elect staff. So we are surprised one Mrs.
of the security people.
We are surprised that one Mrs. Azimberi is using her influence to make sure she overturned this election that was conducted by the Edo people. Edo people voted massively for Senator Monday Kwebelo and Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa.
Now, moving on the news, the People's Democratic Party in Ogudoko Ward, Onitsha, local government area of Ebonyi State, has suspended National Vice Chairman Ali Odifa due to alleged anti-party activities and other offences. Now, the suspension was announced on Friday in Abuja following a meeting of the Ward Executive Committee. The acting chairman of the PDP, Ogudoko Ward, Albert Oyedikachi, explained the decision, stating that the Ward Executive Committee exercised its authority to suspend Chief Odefa and has referred him to the Ward Disciplinary Committee for further action. The suspension and disciplinary referral aim to maintain party discipline and uphold the values and principles of the PDP. Also, the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, BESEC, has now expressed its readiness to conduct local government elections scheduled for this Saturday. BESEC Information Officer Mavis Toyem confirmed these in an interview in Makurdi. Toyem stated that non-sensitive electoral materials were distributed to all 23 local government areas on Tuesday, and that sensitive materials would also be distributed on Friday. She also noted that the BESEC chairman has held a series of meetings with security agencies to ensure tight security, especially in areas considered potential flashpoints. The goal of these preparations, according to Toyem, is to guarantee peace and the security of lives and property during the upcoming local elections. Now, Honorable Al-Hassan Adogua, chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources and also Northern Regional Caucus, has criticized New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), the leader Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, for claiming that Nigerians are tired of the APC and will vote against it in the 2027 general election. Now, Adogua also criticized NNPP for popularizing the people of Kano State, leading to massive defections to the ruling All Progressives Congress. He warned Kwankwaso to stop hallucinations and also face his imminent retirement from politics in 2027. He also urged Kwankwaso to stop controlling the governor of Kano State and expressed optimism that the hardships faced in Nigeria will fizzle out in a few months. Also, 6 inmates at the Nigerian Correctional Facility in Makurdi, Nigeria, have now been granted pardons by Governor Aissant Aliye, following recommendations from the Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy. One of the freed inmates, Mr. Omar Dansabe, was sentenced to death by hanging in an armed robbery operation. The freed inmates have now been empowered with skills to become self-reliant and useful to society. The Attorney General and also Commissioner for Justice and Public Order urged the inmates to improve their lives.
Governor of Benue State has released 6 inmates from our custodial center. He was committed to death, but now the governor has graciously granted him pardon so that he can go out. It has said that he will not go back to that kind of practice again. Even as we're seeing him, he's sick, he cannot do those things he's doing again. So he has launched a trade here in the yard, and he will continue with that trade when he gets out so that he can use that to take care of himself.
His Excellency we granted brought independence to some of the inmates this Royal Correctional Center, releasing them depending on the gravity of the offense and how he considered them. So he recognized the fact that somebody's story is not stagnant. The person can change from bad to good behavior. So today they are released, and the message is go and be good citizens of Benue and Nigeria at large.
It's armed robbery. You collected phone from a woman. I saw the 16,000 naira. I was called and charged to the court, and they were sentencing me to death by hanging. I appreciate the governor very well for him to look into my matter, to change me today to free the man. And I promise, by him doing so to me, I will be as an example to other people that are here.
Now, on the news, the Borno State government has declared a cholera outbreak due to flood damage in Maiduguri and other local governments. Out of 451 suspected cases, 17 turned positive, indicating an increase in affected communities. The State Commissioner of Health, Professor Baba Malam Ghana, called for urgent action to sensitize and vaccinate the population. About 270,000 people have been vaccinated, and Ghana urged residents to adopt good hygiene to control the spread of the disease.
By this declaration, under one Borno health team, we are appealing to all the line ministries and agencies and departments and partners to join hands and provide optimal responses in order to control the current cholera outbreak. The state is still expecting more supplies of the cholera vaccines from the Federal Ministry of Health. However, we are recording increasing number of acute watery diarrhea, which is suspicious of cholera, which is not unconnected with the flood devastation.
Now, the Niger State Emergency Management Agency in SEMA and the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA have recovered 6 more bodies from our boat mishap incidents in the state. The bodies were recovered between 6 p.m. on Thursday and 9 a.m. on Friday, bringing the total number of deaths. Rescue operation is ongoing to recover victims from the water, as the boats carrying 300 people, most of whom were going to our Maulid celebration, capsized near the victims' destination. Moving on now, Zubike Okere, an Economic and Financial Crimes Commission witness in the trial of former Aviation Minister Ada Sirika testified before the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory FCT that under the Procurement Act, only the Ministry's Permanent Secretary held responsibility for compliance. Now, Okere, a retired Procurement Director and former Special Assistant to the Minister, made this statement while testifying as their second prosecution witness, which in the corruption charges against Sirika, who served under the Buhari administration. Which Sirika, along with his brother Ahmed Abubakar Sirika and 2 companies, Engenes Nigeria Limited, allegedly owned by Sirika's brother, and Aburak Limited, have also been brought before Justice Suleiman Abegore in Garki, Abuja by the FCC. They face a 10-count charge of abuse of office, criminal breach of trust, and using their positions for gratification. Moving on, the Lagos State government has now vowed to employ actionable strategies to sustain the ban on the use and sale of styrofoam food containers and also single-use plastics in the state. At a stakeholders workshop on implementing the ban, the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Takumba Wahab, represented by the Special Advisor Environment, Engineer Kunle Rotimi Akodo, has said the workshop would devise necessary strategies to enforce and maintain the prohibition on styrofoam and other SOPs in Lagos. Well, I've noted that Lagos generates over 13,000 tons of waste daily, with a significant portion being single-use plastics and styrofoam materials that can take up to thousands of years to degrade, according to scientific evidence. Away from Lagos, Secretary of State Governor Biodun Oyebanje is reviving the farm settlement model from the old Western region under the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. This move aims to boost agriculture and food security in the state. The governor and officials visited 3 farm clusters in Ekpere Umure, Ikere, and Aramoko area, which they monitored young farmers participating in the Bring Back the Youth in Agriculture initiative, a good program of Oyebanji's administration. During the visit, Governor Oyebanje interacted with the farmers to understand their needs, as he then directed the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Ebenezer Boluwade, to address the farmers' demands. Now, the Ogoga of Ikere-Ekiti, Oba Adejimi Adu Alogboga Agbado, pledged his kingdom's support for the agricultural project.
We want to bring in a lot of our youth into this space so that we produce enough for Ekiti people, and from the surplus we are able to export. And I must do this opportunity to extremely thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his very strong support for our Greek strategy in Ekiti State. It has been a pillar of support, and that's why I don't have any fear about all the issues they are raising about more lands, about accommodation, about transportation, and farm implement. Mr. President has provided necessary support, and so we'll be able to deal with all those issues. The strategy actually is to grow enough to feed the Ekiti people by next year, but because by the time they start harvesting, food prices will come down. And if you feed the Ekiti State, we can feed Nigeria. So people will have enough to eat and people will make money. So it's a win-win situation for both the farmer and for the people.
We have to be grateful to the governor for thinking about this thing. What we are seeing today is not the plan did not start today. Actually, I think it's self-indictment for Yoruba, any Yoruba state. Apart from Lagos that does not have land, much land, it's self-indictment to come out and protest that we are hungry. It's a shame. And that is the shame that this man is trying to remove. I thank our people, they have risen up, and I believe they will live up to it. We will not disappoint this governor. We will make it happen. We are at it. I don't have much to say. I will be coming here to look at it, to see that it works.
Now, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, NCF, has reiterated its commitment to environmental conservation and sustainability at the Foundation's 35th Annual General Meeting in Lagos. The President of the Board of Trustees, Izoma Philip Asiodo, urged the National Executive Council to work towards establishing NCF offices in all states of the Federation. Asiodo noted that a stronger NCF presence at the sub-national level will promote grassroots advocacy for nature conservation and sustainability. He emphasized that solving environmental problems requires robust action and response at both local and global levels as conservation issues transcend borders. The BOT president also reported that the NCF's flagship Green Recovery Nigeria program had successfully planted 285,000 trees in the past year. The GRN seeks to increase Nigeria's forest cover from the current 7% to 25% by the year 2047.
We got the Endangered Species Act passed, trying to prevent Nigerians destroying the habitat of animals. And with the Duke of Edinburgh, we commissioned the project to protect gorillas, which were being attacked and consumed by the villagers there. The African gorilla, it's only between Cameroons and Nigeria that they are left.
Also speaking, the chairman of NCF, Justice Bukola Adebi, said that the effort of the foundation is protecting endangered species showed promising results in a year under review. Adebi said that beyond the amazing feats achieved by the foundation in 2023, NCF continued to face threats from illegal lodging, poaching and climate change. In his report, the Director General of NCF, Dr. Joseph Onoja, said that 2023 marked the foundation's third year of the implementation of its strategic action plan.
Despite the challenges posed by global economic downturn, we have remained steadfast in our mission to preserve Nigeria's rich biodiversity and promote sustainable development. The year under review has been marked by significant milestones and achievements that have further solidified our position as a leading conservation organization in Nigeria. Allow me to highlight a few. I won't read through everything because it's in the annual report. Habitat restoration. Through our various reforestation and habitat restoration projects under our flagship program, the Green Recovery Nigeria, GRN. As stated earlier by the President, we have successfully planted 285,000 trees, which is like a dot and a drop in the ocean. And we have a lot more to do, and we have to do it collectively.
In terms of our research and monitoring, we have strengthened our research and monitoring programs, utilizing advanced technologies such as drone surveillance and camera traps to gather critical data on wildlife population and their habitats. The Foundation's M&E unit was strengthened in the year under review through capacity building and continued engagement with the M&E consultants to make our activities data-driven, to make it very strong. We had community engagement and education, and also community-based conservation, where we partner with the German government through our German partners, the BirdLife German partner called NABU, where we're able to get some funding to work with some communities in Cross River State as we continue with our work, community-based conservation. In terms of policy and advocacy, we continue to engage government at different levels, both at the national and the sub-national level with different states.
Still in the news, Tunisia gears up for October 6th presidential election. Details will return right after this quick commercial break. Please stay with us.
Welcome to Bayes University, Abuja, Nigeria, with a legacy of excellence and a vision for nurturing future leaders. Bayes University is in a league of its own. We're all about our people, processes, and technology.
Bayes is one of the highly rated universities in Nigeria in terms of product quality standards.
We don't just produce graduates, but groom people into employers of labor.
And it has made us understand that learning is all about three things. We learn, we unlearn, and we relearn.
Bayes University Hospital offers a range of specialized services equipped with the latest technology, manned by a team of trusted professionals. And now, our vision extends beyond our walls with the Baba Ahmed University in Kano following our lead. Join us at Bayes University and invest in your future today.
Bayes University is the institution where you will get the best value for money education in Nigeria.
Bayes University. Learn to live.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
And now to other parts of Africa, Tunisia's youth are divided on the country's upcoming presidential election, with some expressing a lack of opportunities and aspiring to move abroad, while others are hopeful for change. Some believe the election will address the high cost of living and fix the country, while others, if the winner, will address the youth's concerns. President Kais Saied has taken another term, accused of accumulating power and stamping out competition, with made-up opponents in prison or barred from running. Only two candidates have been given the green light to run against Saied, who has suspended parliament since 2019. Now, in late September, Sudanese military launched an operation to control parts of the city ruled by the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Then now the Al-Faya Bridge was reopened after being under RSF control, as the army and allied forces are attempting to seize the Khartoum oil refinery. El-Jail. Other strategic battlegrounds include Jebel Moya and El Fasher. Fighting is expected to intensify as the rainy season draws to close. The other Sudan's military has now told the United Nations General Assembly to demand the militias surrender their weapons. At least 70 civilians have now been killed in the Khartoum area since September. And the British government has agreed to hand sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, addressing a historic wrong that led to the displacement of over 1,000 islanders 50 years ago. The UK will retain Diego Garcia, home to a significant US-UK military base, for 99 years and pay Mauritius undisclosed rent. The UK will also establish a resettlement fund for displaced Chagosians, allowing them to return to other islands. Now, Mauritius will now contribute fund. The Chagos Islands, known for their lush vegetation and white sandy beaches, have now been part of the Britain's British Indian Ocean Territory since 1965.
Today's agreement signed between the two sovereign nations of UK and Mauritius recognizes and addresses the historic wrong which the Chagosians have been through for a number of years, in fact, more than 50 years. The details will be penned down, put in a treaty, and as the principles recognized in today's agreement highlight, there is a long-term plan recognized by both nations in favor of the Chagosians.
The important thing is to try and make sure that if they want to go back, there are ways of getting them back. And that's what we've given a big fund to the Mauritian government to run, because we can't tell the Mauritians what to do with what's their own territory. And then we have to find ways also of supporting the Mauritians who are here.
And on Thursday, Ghana reported its first case of mpox this year as part of Africa grapple with outbreaks. According to local health officials, the affected child, who is in a stable condition, has now been isolated, and those who came in contact with them are being monitored. Variant testing is also underway as more than 200 suspected cases are under investigation in the country. In August, the World Health Organization activated its highest level of alert following a surge in mpox cases in parts of Africa, and the emergence of a more serious variant clade, a 1B. This variant is now being recorded in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the epicenter of the outbreak, as well as Burundi, Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda, where vaccinations are now underway. Almost 35,000 cases of the disease, which causes fever and skin lesions, have now been reported on the African continent since the start of this year. The Africa CDC Health Agency says the epidemic is not under control. A handful of cases were also reported beyond Africa earlier this year, including in Sweden and Pakistan. Now, at least 78 people died when an overcrowded boat capsized on Lake Kivu in eastern Congo on Thursday, according to the local government, of which a frantic search and rescue operation was underway hours later, as many remained unaccounted for from the vessel, which was believed to have had 278 people on board. Now, Jean Janke Perusi, the governor of South Kivu province, stated that the death toll was provisional and could rise further. Local authorities had now reported that the boat set off from the port of Minova in South Kivu earlier the day and was en route to Goma in North Kivu province when the tragedy occurred. And outside Africa, the United Nations have now condemned an unlawful airstrike by Israel on a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, which killed 18 people the previous day. The strike is part of a pattern of unlawful use of force by Israeli security forces to military-like operations in the West Bank, causing widespread harm to Palestinians and significant damage to buildings and infrastructure. The United Nations Risk Right Office called for an independent probe into the incident and criticized Israel's disregard for its obligation. The Israeli army confirmed the strike on Tulkarem, describing it as a joint operation carried out by the Shin Bet Internal Security Service and the Air Force. The strike killed Hamas leader in Tulkarem, Zahi Yasser al-Razek Alfi. The air raid was also the deadliest in the West Bank since 2000. Now, Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdullah Sawesh, has now accused Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of prolonging the ongoing war in Gaza, the West Bank, and in Lebanon to remain in office. Sawesh claims that without the ongoing war, Netanyahu would have been removed from power or jailed with his family for war crimes. The ongoing conflict between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah continues.
Current Israeli Prime Minister, without a war, he cannot be survived. Without, this is a personal war for him and the Israeli side, of course, with the other messianic fanatic ministers or his government right now. If this war come to its end, the current Prime Minister, most probably he will be jailed. There will be an investigation committee even in Israel, and they will treat him with the right issue that he deserves. Most probably he and his family will be jailed. This is his intention right now to make sure that the war is escalating and to cover all the general, in general, the Middle East.
Now, Palestine is open to discussing ending the war based on the two-state solution and is ready to appear on any local Nigerian television station to discuss this.
This is the time for the media to play this crucial role, to gather us, to invite us, me and the others. I'm ready, of course, me and the others in your screens to discuss this issue, but negotiate. We have our leaders, of course, President Abbas, the PLO and the others, and they, of course, have their leaders to discuss this issue, to negotiate it. But to discuss it, feel free, of course, to invite me anytime, any one of you, of course, with my partner or the other counterpart to me, the Israeli or the American, to discuss this issue and to shed light for this subject.
He called on the United Nations to prevail on Israel to end the hostility in Gaza and the West Bank through any legal means possible. Now, the head of the United Nations Assistance Mission in Somalia, James Swan, has now pledged to support the country in addressing technical, logistical and other issues, as well as mobilizing financial support from donors. Somalia's Foreign Affairs Minister Ahmed Mulaim Fege Ahmed expressed hope for a new mission for the next 2 years, focusing on tackling violent extremism and fighting against the jihadist group Al-Shabaab, which has carried out bombings across the country in the past 18 years. Still in the news, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov has now confirmed that the delegation's participation in the BRICS summit in Russia, with the possibility of considering new countries like Turkey. Ukraine may also be on the agenda, but Russia remains open to a political and diplomatic solution to the conflict. The BRICS alliance, founded in 2006 by Brazil, Russia, India and China, has recently expanded to include Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia is also considering joining, and Azerbaijan has formally applied. The Hurricane Ellen is now confirmed over 210 deaths in several U.S. states, making it the second deadliest storm to the U.S. mainland in over half a century. The storm flooded towns and made the road impassable, knocked out power and water services, and also left communities devastated. President Joe Biden visited our southeast to grieve with residents, with over half of the deaths in flood-ravaged North Carolina. Despite hundreds of rescues and an enormous response, the death toll is expected to rise, when residents are also still unaccounted for in the mountainous region, known for its isolation. Authorities are also searching for survivors in remote areas, while downtown restaurants and also aid groups provide free food and water. Now, in a brutal attack earlier Thursday, members of the Grand Grief Gang invaded a small town in central Haiti, killing over 20 people, including children, according to a human rights group. The gang burned homes and cars in the town of Port Sunday, leaving 50 more injured. Hundreds of residents fled the area near the local hospital in Saint Mark, where the injured were taken, after rumors spread out the gang were heading there. This violent assault on the town of Port Sunday in the Artibonite region has now been attributed to the notorious gang, Grand Grief Gang, which have now been described as one of Haiti's cruelest. And up next to the news, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the Dangote Naira for crude deal fails to take off October the 1st. Now, some business news after this short break. Stay with us.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space, with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 Naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 and they pay.
Now move on to business. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, was expected to begin supplying crude oil to Dangote Petroleum Refinery in Naira on October 1st, 2024. However, as of Thursday, October 3rd, the supply had not yet commenced. Officials from the Dangote Refinery, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the Federal Ministry of Finance, and the NNPC all declined to provide updates on the Naira for crude deal between NNPC and also Dangote. On Monday, reports indicated that the Technical Subcommittee on Domestic Sales of Crude Oil in Local Currency had confirmed the previous day that NNPC would start supplying crude to the Dangote Refinery in Naira on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. These developments followed the Federal Executive Council's approval on September 13, 2024, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed for Tinubu for local refineries to purchase crude oil in Naira and sell petroleum products in Naira as well. Now, Brent and Nigerian oil blends have also rebounded to around $78 per barrel on Friday amid rising Middle East tensions and supply concerns. Brent crude stood at $78.86 per barrel, while WTI crude was at $74.90. The Iran and Israel conflict has now accelerated, leading to a steady rise in oil futures. In September, Brent futures dropped to $70.71 per barrel, pushing Nigeria's oil blends below the $75 threshold. However, October has seen a resurgence in oil prices, with Brent futures climbing above $78 per barrel amid concerns about potential supply shortages. Now, stockpiling surged with U.S. crude inventories rising by 3.9 million barrels to reach 417 million barrels in the final week of the month. So in business and celebration of creativity and entrepreneurship, the 77% Generation Influencers event, Better Day in Lagos, are bringing together a diverse group of social media influencers, content creators, and industry experts. Plus TV correspondent Love Oyedokun reports that event highlighted the significant impact of digital platforms on today's youth.
It was an evening of fun, exchange and networking among social media influencers, bloggers, and other online users. Themed Generation Influencer, Big Business or Social Responsibility saw top Nigerian influencers collaborating with 77% DW's Channel for Africa as a game changer in promoting national cohesion in the country. Edith Kimani is the host of the 77%.
Influencers these days become our travel guides. They sometimes tell us how and what to do with our money. They even sometimes tell us how to parent our children. So they're obviously very important to society today. But the question becomes, when they're relying on money in order to stay in business, do they have a responsibility towards us? The things that they produce, the things that they're promoting, should they be asking themselves the secondary question? And when it comes to issues of politics, should they be involved?
If you are selling products or you're advertising products, but the products are somehow, maybe deemed bad at the end. There are testings for, something, and then it turns out, oh, the products you actually advertised for are bad. Do you carry some responsibility for that?
The voice we want to amplify is the fact that, influencers like them should be able to use their platform for good. Because if you have a lot of young people following you with millions of followers, it means that you are a strong voice to reckon with. But what you do with that platform is very important.
The event was a platform for these emerging leaders to discuss pressing issues and share their visions for the future. It was also an inspiring display of unity and ambition within this influential generation.
Social media has given most people the platform that on a normal day they wouldn't have or even create for themselves. Social media has been that backbone to making a nobody a somebody if you're actually looking at putting in the work, especially with creating content and just getting involved with trendy videos and all of that kind of stuff.
And the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has announced that Emirates Airlines will return to the country, providing local airlines with more access to international destinations. Keyamo also mentioned that Emirates Airlines is meeting with Nigerian carriers for a code-share partnership for long-term flight services. The return of Emirates Airlines to Nigeria is seen as an indication of better things to come, as the bilateral air service agreement allows airlines from both countries operate from airport space.
And I'm sure you saw my statement last week, because one of the major things I stood my ground. And the person that the said, any destination, so nobody going to have this is fine, this is not fine. There are agreements like this. They fight to any destination, they fight to any in fact, I will put it advisedly that they are also free to fly to any airport in the UAE. They have charger, they have they also have
Now to entertainment news, the much anticipated sketch to finish fashion show and talent hunt has kicked off with a bang as aspiring models flooded the venue at Surulere, Lagos for the craftsmanship model auditions. The event, which is set to showcase the best of Nigerian fashion talent, show saw an overwhelming turnout of young and talented individuals vying for their chance to shine on the runway. Plus, TV News correspondent Love Oda can tell us more in this report.
The audition was marked by a high level of energy and passion. Participants gave it their all to impress the judges with unique style and charisma. In addition to the model auditions, a press conference was held where organizers unveiled plans for this year's Sketch to Finish fashion show. The event, according to the organizers, promises to be a celebration of craftsmanship in fashion design with a focus on promoting local talents and creativity. Mary Jane Ejiofor is the brain behind the show.
This reality show is a 14 days event, which means they are going to be in-house for 14 days. And then after the 14 days, they will have the grand finale where we'll announce the first, the second, and the third winners. Now, for this great event, we're going to have 3 categories of prizes. The first prize is 5 million naira, the second prize is 3 million naira, and then the third prize is 2 million naira. Now, Sketch to Finish fashion reality show we started organizing the show since last year to make sure that we'll bring in something that will be not just normal that you've been seeing, but something that is extraordinary.
Speaking at the press conference, event coordinator explained that the event aims to foster collaboration within the industry while also creating opportunities for emerging talents.
The message is simply in our tag, craftsmanship at its peak. So we're going to bring you craftsmanship at its peak, whereby the craft people who are known as the fashion designers are going to display to the audience. They are going to tell us what they had to go through, the suffering behind the sewing machines, the suffering behind their dashboards when they make their designs on their dashboards, whatever it is they had to go through to bring out whatever great design. We're going to be seeing the quarrels among the designers, we're going to see the fights among the designers, and then we're going to see the joy of making these dresses.
Adebayo Adegbe is the Chief Executive Officer of Modela Culture. He is worried that despite the huge potentials the modeling industry holds, little or no attention is paid to it by the federal government.
We have a big number of talented designers, very creative, highly creative Nigerians, but there are not much enabling platforms for them to be able to do so well, because the industry needs funding. Needs government funding, need grants to help upcoming designers, need grants to help emerging designers, need funds to help even the established designers who don't have much funds to be able to put up the kind of dream they want.
The idea of the creator is to make sure that we place Nigeria in a way that they see our brand, they see our fashion. We also want to have a situation where people go to work and wear a suit that is Adire or Ankara. We need to sell ourselves, and this show, that is one of the major things it intends to do, sell our designers.
With such promising prospects on display at the auditions, it is clear that this year's Catch to Finish fashion show is set to be a must-see event. All eyes are now eagerly awaiting what promises to be an unforgettable showcase of Nigeria's fashion talent. Love Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
And also sports. The under-17 women national team Flamingos on Thursday arrived at their campsite in Santo Domingo city in the Dominican Republic for a 2-week intensive camping exercise ahead of the 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals held from October the 16th to November 3rd in the country. The team departed the country on Tuesday after receiving pep talks from NFF President Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau and General Secretary Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, who visited the hotel. Flamingos are lodged in Group A alongside host country Dominican Republic, Ecuador and New Zealand, whom they face in the opening game on October the 16th at Estadio Cibao, starting at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Flamingos have now been to every edition of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, missing only the 2018 edition. Before 2020 edition, they have only gotten as far as the quarterfinals in the 2010, 2012 and 2014 editions. They broke the jinx in 2022 by defeating the USA in the quarterfinals via penalties after an entertaining and tightly close contest during regulation time, which ended 1-1. The Nigeria internationals Ahmed Musa and Shehu Abdullahi have now rejoined the Kano Pillars on short-term contract for the 2024-2025 Nigeria Premier Football League. Both players pictured at the training group or ground of the former champions on Thursday ahead of their MPFL Match Day 5 home game against Sunshine Stars. That 1-year-old Musa is rejoining Pillars for a third stint after featuring for them between 2010 and 2021. Abdullahi will be featuring for Pillars for the season time, following having played for them in 2012. The defensive midfielder has now been without a club since January 2023, while Musa also terminated his contract with Turkish club Sivasspor in February. Although the MPFL 2024-2025 summer transfer window has closed, the Super Eagles, though, are able to work into the squad as free agents. And now we'll take a quick recap of our headlines. Federal government begins evacuation exercise of Nigerians in Lebanon. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, writes police over Rivers election, sues for peace. United Nations condemns Israel's unlawful strike on West Bank camp, which killed 18. And now the more content news is for more stories. Please follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limex and Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun. Many thanks for watching.
It is not the hope of this feature to blame anyone for the never-ending tension between police and the citizens. However, it is certain that there is always a tension with most people when they approach a police checkpoint. Many factors are responsible for this tension, including not knowing what to expect or do, seeing the police as the enemy, or even being guilty of an infraction. Many issues that go wrong at a police checkpoint can be linked to lack of proper communication and understanding on the side of the police force and also on the side of the citizen. Here are some tips listed by the police force about comporting yourself at a police checkpoint. Endeavor to slow down your vehicle. It shows that you're not reckless. It also douses suspicion that you're a criminal and may want to speed off. Turn down the volume of your car stereo. Courtesy demands this. Besides, you are able to hear each other better. This simple act will help you win the confidence of the security operative. Keep your hands visible to avoid unnecessary suspicion or fear by the officers that you're attempting to bring out a gun or other harmful objects to attack them. Turn on the inner light of your vehicle while approaching the cops if at night. It readily sends an unspoken message that you have nothing to hide.
That's the nature of your job, officer. Don't worry. That's the nature of everything will be fine.
Be friendly and cheerful. Commend the officers, especially when you see them working under very unfriendly weather conditions such as rains and harsh Harmattan conditions, excessive heat, cold or sunshine. We know it's their job, but a little kind word from you will do a lot of good. Remember, when you smile at the mirror smiles back at you.
Officer will not come down. Let's see what you do. Don't mind this. We won't come down.
Endeavor to be polite when answering questions put to you by the officers. Don't dare or challenge an armed security man to a duel. Oftentimes, you hear people say things like, "Shoot me if you can." Note that this is a recipe for disaster. It is a very provocative and unnecessary call for war. So please, play safe, more so as you do not know the state of mind of the officer concerned. Also, don't go into a physical fight with an armed security officer. He may resort to the use of his weapon.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. You're welcome to Sports Business with Olufo Ezaga. You're watching Plus TV Africa and we're reaching you live from our studios in Victoria Island, Lagos. Now that was Katsina United fans displaying the newfound interest in the Nigerian Premier Football League. It is also a good mood for us as today we celebrate the 64th Independence Day anniversary in Nigeria. Things are changing. Things are tough, actually. But by the day, we're seeing that things are beginning to change. And, it's our Independence Day. Nigeria is growing. And I would like to use this forum to call on everybody to contribute a little bit to making sure that Nigeria becomes the successful nation that we all desire to see. today we're going to be talking about football, and I believe that football and the Nigerian Premier Football League is one of the ways we can begin to change our country, because the impact of football in any country is huge, and in Nigeria we have not witnessed this for the last 3 decades or so. And I think that we have reached a turning point and things are beginning to change. And when the Football League in this country hits its stride, I have no doubt that it would, impact on the economy seriously, creating lots of jobs and, attracting a lot of wealth into the country. All right, today, so we're going to be talking about the NPFL. And we're going to be talking about football generally across the continent. Today, we have an excellent guest who's going to be talking to us about football in South Africa. He's part of the people that developed the South African Premier Soccer League into the success that it is today. It is actually the most financially successful league in Africa, and we hear that it is one of the top 10 leagues now. About this will be Dr. Robin Petersen. He is a former CEO of the Premier Soccer League in South Africa, that's the PSL, and he was also the CEO of the South African Football Association, which is called for short SAFA. Now, Dr. Robin Petersen is a he's a co-founder of SPN Africa. He's the CEO actually of SPN Africa, and they are a Pan-African news sports news and streaming portal, and he's also the co-initiator of the Global Safe Hub campaign, an award-winning social enterprise that uses football as a key part of a transversal youth development intervention. Safe Hub started in Cape Town in 2008, and today it's across South Africa as well as in Germany and the United States, and they're currently developing a new site somewhere in Cote d'Ivoire. He's an author, a public speaker, and a former academic who has a PhD from the University of Chicago. That's who we have today. So I'd encourage you now to, stretch your legs and take, a breather, because over the next 45 minutes, Dr. Petersen is going to be talking to us, going to be sharing with us his vast knowledge on football business in South Africa as well as on the continent. We're going to go on a short break for just about a minute or less. And when we return, we'll have Dr. Petersen ready to share his knowledge. You're welcome back to Sports Business with Owufo Ezaga, and you're watching Plus TV Africa. And we're reaching you live from our studios in Victoria Island, Lagos. Dr. Robin Petersen, a former CEO of the PSL as well as SAFA. And he's going to be sharing his experience running football in South Africa and developing the PSL into becoming the top league in Africa in terms of revenues. All right. Hello, Robin.
How are you, Owufo? It's very nice to be with you and with all the rest of those who are joining us today.
Okay, so how do we begin? Let's talk about the PSL first. Lots of good things are happening in the PSL, and it's top 6, I think. If I remember correctly, or if my research is right, you became the second CEO of the PSL, so you're very conversant with what happened in the early days. How did you envision the PSL, and how far have you come based on what you envisioned all those years ago?
I was very fortunate to have been CEO of the Premier Soccer League. I was actually the third CEO. The second one was John Lela. He was there for a few years.
Okay.
So having been an academic, so not having been in football administration, but I had been doing some consulting work for SAFA for a few years, and then had become the general manager for the 2006 World Cup bid. We bid for the World Cup in 2006 up against Germany and England and Brazil and Morocco, and Germany of course won it with that very controversial result of vote in 2000, in the year 2000. And actually while we were in Zurich commiserating at the end of the announcement of the vote, I got approached by one of the the club owners back then. He was then the owner of Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the Krop brothers. That was before Dr. Motsepe took over as the owner. And asked whether I would, and told me that the PSL was, I knew they were looking for a CEO, and he encouraged me to apply, which I did, and I got the position. The PSL at that time was in a very different state to what it is now. So maybe that getting that perspective also gives one in other countries like Nigeria some hope.
Okay.
In those days, the PSL was fairly new. It had established itself. It was well functioning, but its funding was relatively poor. I remember, if my memory serves me correct, to give each club a monthly grant. If I remember correctly, it was about 100,000 rand, maybe less, from which they then had to pay for run their team, pay their travel costs, etc. And these days, that figure is 10, 15, 20 times that amount. So the key challenge that we identified back then, there were two. The one was we were not getting great crowds, except for the derby, which is of course the derby between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. That was the only match that we had a full stadium. The crowds were not there in the way they are now. And our television contract at that stage was with the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC. And SuperSport were knocking on my door back then and saying, listen, we need to get football, South African football, onto SuperSport. And I must say that if I look back on, I was only a PSL CEO for 2 years. When I look back on what I probably think was my greatest achievement there, it was doing the first SuperSport television contract.
Okay.
We were able to carve out a separate contract with SuperSport for a midweek series of games. Committed to, I can't remember the number, maybe 20 games that would happen on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night. It caused some challenges for some clubs because we had to up the floodlighting and there was a lot of skepticism on SuperSport board side that this would actually lead to something. Little did they know, I think, except for the very visionary, he was at that stage a board member of the PSL, Imtiaz Patel, but Imtiaz realized, I think back then, that South African football would actually drive SuperSport's growth in a massive way. And so we were able to carve out and run for the first year that SuperSport television package. And as we all know, I think the story goes that maybe 3 years later, SuperSport took from SABC, and from there on, I think the league has grown from strength to strength, because the money that they received from World Broadcast Right was then reinvested into the clubs. That's the most critical point. It's all good and well to get a big amount of money coming in, but that money then got reinvested into the clubs on an equal basis. So every club got the same grant every month. And from that, it meant that you were able then to see the resources to hire players, to keep good coaching staff, to improve their marketing, and then the stadium started to fill up because the product that people were seeing on television was a good product. And that kind of was a virtuous circle. On TV, people will stay away. If you have a good product on TV, people will think, wow, I'm missing out. I need to be there. I need to go there. And they started, and I think that was the massive growth of the PSL. There were some other things as well which we can give, if I were to name them, it would be your television rights, it would be governance. I think governance, both at a league level and at a club level, are critical elements for success. Club licensing, marketing, and then player contracts and player conditions. I think those would be the things that I would say have been at the core of the PSL success.
Okay. When you talked first about the struggles of the PSL at the start, right? If you could expand on that a bit, what sort of struggles did you have? I'll give you an example. Like in Nigeria, for instance, we have a problem with fans coming to the stadium. Maybe that's a function of the sort of product that they're getting. But here, as with much of sub-Saharan Africa, you find that the success of the European leagues, the more glamorous European leagues, have generally affected